Hey everyone, happy Tuesday and welcome to another episode of Day in the Life of Vintage Classic Specialist, our daily updates from our little VW restoration shop here. So just briefly, today Rafa worked on the very bright yellow 74 Beetle. I worked on the 69 Baywindow Bus and did a few things here on this beautiful ruby red 67 Beetle that is that close to being done. So why don't we talk about this baby here first? So Rafa mostly today worked on latches. So let's talk about the doors first. So he went ahead and cleaned up the door mechanisms and installed them. So that's the actual mechanism here that latches against the striker plate. So cleaned up the striker plates too. Like everything on this car, just everything's in really good shape. So pretty much just a matter of like cleaning things, re-greasing these mechanisms, and then installing them with the rod for the remote here. So this is the remote. And again, on this car is completely de-chromed, and that includes the little handles here. But yeah, very happy. Listen to this sound. This is a great sound. So solid, so good. Yeah, so and both doors are equally as good. So yeah, Renee spent a lot of time. I mean, this car was super straight already, but yeah, he spent quite a bit of time fine-tuning the door gaps and stuff like that. So they are looking pretty darn good, and you can kind of tell by the way the doors close, just that sound. It's like things are not rubbing against each other or anything like that. It's just pretty much solid. Love it. So yeah, pretty much door mechanisms and stuff, cleaning, greasing those on both sides of the car here. And also up front, likewise, the front latch mechanism for the front hood, took that. And so on these later cars, it sits a little bit differently than on early cars. It sits right here, kind of on, I guess what I'd call like on the top of the apron, versus later ones, there's this big mechanism sitting kind of right here, and it's riveted in place. So yeah, I don't know if that was a way for Volkswagen to save some money by riveting things in instead of screwing them in, but regardless, again, this piece here, very nice, still retains its kind of gold colored anodize, or gold colored zinc or whatever plating they used back then, maybe like cadmium or something with some gold tint in it. Anyway, yeah, super nice. So cleaned it up, greased it, riveted in, and then likewise the conduit tube, which you can see running here up to the glove box. So again, for those of you that aren't familiar with earlier cars, of course, the release for the hood, as you guys are probably familiar with, is down here. You pull underneath the dash and it pops the hood. Later cars, it's in the glove box. I don't know why. It just really doesn't make any sense to me that you would open your glove box to release the hood, but for whatever reason, Volkswagen, in their wisdom, I don't know if I'd call that wisdom or not, they moved it in here. And so let's see here. Yeah, so there it is. That's the little lever there. So that is how you release the hood on later ones. Again, for people who may not have known that, that's where it is. And so yeah, got that all installed, etc. Obviously the hood's not on yet, so there'll have to be a little bit of adjusting when that goes on. But yeah, those were the main things that happened on this car today. It was the doors, the hood, and the glove box, or excuse me, the hood release and the glove box and its conduit there and stuff like that. So that's kind of what happened on this blindingly bright yellow love bug here. So let's see what I did. So again, I worked on the 69 bay window here, continued working on the front end, and I think yesterday I had the trailing arms on this side but not the other side. So first thing this morning, I went ahead and installed those, and then just kept going on the front suspension and installed the spindles here as well. And what else? The steering box I had installed previously, so I went ahead and I checked its ground to make sure it was making a good ground, because that's of course very important for the horn mechanisms on these. So yeah, confirmed that the steering box is grounded really well as it bolts to the frame. And then from there went ahead and installed the steering coupler down there, which of course has a wire on one of these two bolts here. This is the wire that'll run all the way up through the steering column tube, and a very important part of the horn circuit there. The other part of the horn circuit for these, or another part I should say of these, is actually on the steering column tube. So kind of like Beetle, starting in when did that start? Mid 60s ish. Don't quote me on that. Where the steering column tube is electrically isolated, and then it has a wire attached to it, which is another part of the horn circuit. So this wire that attaches to the tube here actually is the one that connects directly to the horn, and then the ground for that wire comes from the wire that I just showed you, that's going to run all the way up through the steering column shaft. And then when you push the horn, it basically grounds this tube out to the wire running up through there, and then it makes its way to the horn. Anyway, it's a very sort of convoluted system. It's very hard to describe, but when you see a diagram of it, it's not terribly complicated, but it's, I don't know. Volkswagen changed the routing of the horn circuit a couple times, and I don't know that any of them really work any better than any others, but you do have to kind of be aware of the different years and how their horn systems were wired. Anyway, this one I soldered this wire on. There's from the factory. There's supposed to be a little male spade on here that's riveted on, and they're almost always broken or missing. So I just soldered the wire right to the tube and left it extra long, and then again this is the one that'll be routed directly to the ground side of the horn. Anyway, that was a very long explanation of horn wiring, so sorry if that was not the most exciting thing ever, but yeah, it's just part of putting the car together, is making sure all this stuff is going to work the way Volkswagen intended it to. So those are pretty much the things I did on this baby, which we're calling Big Blue now. So then I turned my attention to this guy, which is very, very close to taking its first test drive. One thing that I had not previously done on it was a front end alignment. So I went ahead and did that today. So, and it had not been done at all. And so it had almost 2 inches of toe in, which is, wow, that's a lot. But, you know, again, we hadn't really adjusted it. We just kind of like put tie rods on and, you know, connected everything. So we knew it was off, and that's why we do an alignment. So now it's set at 1/8 inch toe in, and which is about the factory spec. And I checked the camber on both sides. It's also within spec. And then I noticed while I was tightening up the tie rod ends that there appeared to be a little bit of a brake fluid leak somewhere in the, not on the master cylinder, but leading up to the master cylinder. So from the reservoir to where the 2 reservoir lines plug into the master cylinder, it was like something seemed to be like having a very, very slow leak. So cleaned everything up really good and started looking around, and I believe it was coming from, I don't know if you're even going to be able to see, there's a couple of hose clamps. I can show you this. There, you see a couple hose clamps right by the tip of the light there. So I believe it was coming from where the reservoir copper tubes that you can also see there, where they go into the rubber, the braided cloth rubber line there. So pretty sure that's where it's coming from. So I tightened up both those hose clamps. They were probably a little bit looser than I would have liked. I'm guessing that because the line is rubber, from the time I originally tightened those to now, the rubber kind of like compressed a little bit. And so I think going ahead and tightening those up now, they should be good. So I'll keep an eye on those, keeping my fingers crossed that takes care of that leak. If not, then I gotta pull this all apart and figure out what's going on here. So hoping that's not the case, because that does not sound like fun. But of course we gotta make sure everything is safe and awesome. So there you go. Anyway, so yeah, I did that, did the alignment, tightened the tie rods down. What else? Yeah, those are kind of the main things here on this one. So the other thing that I did was I checked the fitment of the spare tire. So tires have kind of grown over the years, even though this is a 165 R15, which is the stock size for, you know, practically every Beetle ever made. It has a really tight fit in here. And so it was initially, it was kind of like barely, I don't know, I'd say touching, kissing the underside of the hood. And but the tire was kind of overinflated. Our tire shop always overinflates tires, so we got to really check them. It had like 30 some odd PSI in it, which of course the tires do grow slightly with increased pressure. You know, it's basically like a big balloon. And so I let the pressure down, kept letting it down and checking. And finally I got it to where it wasn't touching the underside of the hood at about 20 PSI. That's a hair low. Normally on the front of a Beetle, you'd run around maybe 22 PSI, or that's what I usually set them at. I think the manual may actually say like 18 or something, that I pretty much never set them that low. But yeah, this is set at about 20 now, which is kind of within the realm of you know, tire pressure for one of these cars, for the front at least. The back is usually like closer to 24 or so. But anyway, so now that I know that this tire, which is the same tire, this is actually one of the tires off the front. So now that I know that it'll fit as a spare, I need to go ahead and order a fifth one as the spare. So I do have the other rim, which is sitting with no tire on it now, but wanted to check this before I ordered that, because sometimes, especially on Karmann Ghias, we end up having to run a smaller than stock tire just for it to be able to fit in the spare tire well and the hood to close. On Beetles, usually you can get away with it, but I still like to check it. Because again, tires are bigger than they used to be for some different reasons. But anyway, this seems like it's going to fit if you put the pressure a little bit on the low side. So I'm hoping that tomorrow I may go ahead and put some gasoline in this thing and take it for a test drive. So that is pretty exciting. And I spoke to the guy that I use, Robert, who does all of our final buffing and ceramic coating and stuff, and we're going to try and get him out here hopefully like early next week to work his magic on this thing and really bring this shine and this paint to the next level here before the owners take delivery of it. And so yeah, that's it, guys. So thank you everyone for watching, and we will see you again tomorrow.